What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet.
Welcome to Not Safe for Words. I'm your host, Crystal L. Kirkham, multi-genre author, editor, and cover designer. I'm here to give you insight into the world of publishing and to help you avoid the mistakes that others have made. So stick around, you're in for one hell of a ride where I don't curb the curses.
Pen names. They're one of the many things that are in a writer's toolbox for us to be able to use. And there's a lot of really good reasons to use one out there. And we're going to go over a few in this podcast today. But I'm also going to talk about those who abuse pen names. And if you don't know what I mean, well, you're going to fucking find out because I've seen it happen time and time again. So let's start with the basics. Why would you use a pen name over your real name? If you haven't thought about it too much and you are considering a writing career, it's something you need to put thought into. A part of your product, and we covered this in the previous podcast about author brands, is you. And your recognizable thing is your name. Now, if your name is, very unfortunately, John Smith, you might want to consider a pen name because you're going to get lost among the other John Smiths or whatever generic name happens to be for your area. Or maybe you share the name to an already popular author. That's a pretty good reason to consider using a pen name as well, but there's a lot of other reasons out there. There is one author I really enjoy reading, and he uses the pseudonym of John Case. Now, he writes some really incredible political thrillers. He also works in the government. He actually, I believe, according to his bio, he works for U.S. National Security. It's a really good reason to not use your real name when you're writing books. Perhaps you're a school teacher who writes really, really racy romance. In that case, it can have an actual detrimental effect on your real life career as opposed to your writing career. Not that writing isn't real life, but it tends to be more of a supplemental income for a lot of struggling authors. So you need to protect yourself, your family, and your real job. And a school teacher, especially in elementary school, might be frowned upon for writing racy romances. And there's a couple other reasons out there too. It could be that you write in a genre where unfortunately the gender you identify as is not one that is normally welcome for writing in that genre or doesn't sell really well. You might use a pen name. For example, I've known a few men who can write some really incredible erotica, but it's not something a lot of men write, and it's not something a lot of people pick up when a guy writes it. So they're going to use a pen name for the sake of their career. And of course, then you have things like J.D. Robb, who everybody knows as Nora Roberts. So that comes down to what I talked about in Author Brand with our last episode, in that she uses a pen name, and even though everybody knows it's her pen name, that pen name has a brand, and that brand is what you expect from that author's name, even though you know it's somebody else. Clear as mud? Are you guys with me still? Basically, what I'm saying here is whether or not you choose to use a pen name is up to you. And the reason why you choose a pen name is also up to you. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to write under your real name or you absolutely need a pen name for any reason. It is your decision what you do and why you need to do it. Now, if you are going to use a pen name, take some time to really think about it. Put effort into what your pen name is going to be. Even if it's something as simple as just a change in your last name from what it actually is, and that you still use your normal first name. That's fine. I know a lot of authors who do that too because they don't like their last name, or they just use their first initials because they don't really like their name and they'd rather use initials. It's entirely up to you. At one time, I considered writing under a pen name myself. It's mostly because I really wasn't comfortable with my name. I didn't think it sounded authorly. And somebody pointed out, well, if you're an author, then it's an authorly name. And it's really kind of a silly point to make, but it's really fucking true. It really doesn't matter what your name is. If you don't think it sounds authorly, well, once you're an author, it actually is a very authorly name because it belongs to an author. And I actually also decided to use my middle initial. I have no idea why I decided to do that, but I did, and I like it, and I'm sticking with it. I am Crystal L. Kirkham. Pretty sure there's not a lot of other people out there that are also just a Crystal Kirkham. Maybe I wanted to break up those hard k sounds in my name. I don't know. But I liked the way it sounded. I still like the way it sounds, and I'm going to stick with it. If I ever do choose a pen name, at least I've already put some thought into it, and I might have a great idea of what I would choose. But at this point in my career, I don't really see that happening, because I'm not an author who has managed to pigeonhole myself in my career at this point. Well, if you do choose a pen name, let's go into what you really shouldn't do. And unfortunately for those men who do write romance under a female's name, especially lesbian romance or lesbian erotica, and I've known a few who were actually really good at it. In fact, they would sometimes work with actual women to co-write these books because they were that good that people believed they were women. And that's fine. I mean, this is your career after all, and if you're trying to pass yourself off as the other gender, well, it's probably a good idea if people actually believe you're the other gender. But what happened in these cases is they acted so much as if they were their pseudonym that they engaged in some incredibly unethical behavior. And I'm talking things like sexting women, pretending that they really are lesbians. I mean, this is a gross misuse of a pen name because you are not your pen name. It is a tool you're using. And when you abuse it like that, like these people did, not only committing a type of fraud, you are making it so much harder for everyone else who uses it honestly, who uses it because they have to. You make it that much harder for publishers to even want to trust people using pen names for the reason that I just stated, most specifically when we're talking about those kind of genres. Like for a lot of people online, for some, using a pen name gives them that unbelievable sense of anonymity that actually doesn't really exist. It gives them that feeling that they can do whatever they want and nothing will come back to bite them in the ass because it's online, it's not real, they're anonymous. But people get hurt. Lots of people get hurt this way. And I've got to say, it is one of the biggest asshole moves I've ever seen people using pen names do. Want these things to dissuade you from using a pen name because, you know, I've said it a few times before, but I really want to hammer this home. There are really good fucking reasons for using a pen name, and people are going to use them. And don't use this as an excuse to not trust someone who uses a pen name, because most of the people out there who use them are using them in an honest, truthful manner. They're still being themselves, but under a pen name. And even if they're pretending to be another gender, they're not doing so in a way that hurts others. And that's what we need to avoid. And I can understand getting carried away with this portrayal of who you are, but that becomes a conscious decision to act in a way that is unethical and immoral. Okay, I'm going to have to stop myself before I go on a huge, giant rant about this shit. Because it is something that really I've seen happen, and it really gets to me. It really pisses me off. And I can rant for hours if I have to about that kind of behavior. But I just really want you to think hard when you use a pen name. And no matter how much you want to create a whole persona around those pen names, make sure you do it in a way that is truly honest as you can be. That no matter how you portray yourself, whether you portray yourself as someone of a different gender or not, do so in a way that doesn't hurt others, that doesn't ruin the concept of a very useful thing like pen names for other people. That's all I'm asking. Don't be an asshole. It's really kind of a part of what this podcast is all about. How not to be an asshole author. And let's be honest, the people who have done those things I've described, they're fucking assholes. There's no other word for it. And though they may feel remorse once they've been discovered, they should have felt guilty about it long before that point when they're deceiving people. And here I go again. So I'm going to pull myself back and I'm going to call it done for right now. This has been another episode of Not Safe for Words. I hope you found some useful advice here today. If you have feedback on this or any other episode, tweet me or leave a voicemail on Anchor FM. Don't forget to join me next time for more publishing and writing insights. Thanks for listening.